We're here at Jerez. It is day one of the Lamborghini Super Trofeo World Finals. All the regional championships done and dusted, champions crowned, disappointed drivers, well, they have one more thing still to fight for, and that is the world final title. And it kicks off right now. We've had the first race for the AMs and the Lamborghini Cup drivers. Now we will have the pros and the pro-ams. They have a race today, a race tomorrow, points scored for pole position, and then in the top 10 in each class will determine who takes the world final crown. And we've got a number of interesting combinations of drivers in this, some regulars in the European Championship or the Asian or the North American, and one or two spoilers that are here purely to try and take the world final crown. And amongst them, Frederic Schandorf and Jonathan Cecotto. They had a race win and a retirement yesterday, but they also bag a pole position for this first Pro-Am race. And the Danish-Venezuelan combination of drivers here, having not done the whole European season, for glory in the world final. That is the main focus, and certainly on pure pace shown in race one yesterday, do not bet against them. Cars making their way round on to the grid. This is David Addison trackside. Down on the grid is Marietta Evans, and she'll be able to have a word with some of the drivers, some of the Lamborghini dignitaries too, before we go racing. And if this is anything like the AM and Lamborghini Cup instalment that we had about an hour ago, it's going to be very dramatic indeed. It's a brilliant weekend, this. It's always an opportunity to get a real handle on who the quick drivers are. It's the one opportunity we get to see the European, the American and the Asian championship runners all going head to head, and you start to get an idea of just how good everybody is. In terms of world final titles claimed, it's 12-8 Europe over America. Asia, whisper it, has yet to score a world title in any of the four classes that we now have: Pro, Pro-Am, Lamborghini Cup or Am. The grid will be formed very shortly, everybody making their way round from the pit lane. And it is a grid based on the times that were set in the first of the two qualifying sessions. Now, you don't have to have a co-driver, but you can. Therefore, if you do, you have to do a qualifying session each, and you start the race for which you set that time. If you are a double driver entry, your pit stop, which is between 20 and 30 minutes, must be line to line, 1 minute and 27. If you're on your own, it's 1 minute and 24 seconds. The idea being just to try and equate things between those drivers that have been out for 20 minutes or so and know what the car and track feels like, and those that are fresh into it and have to suddenly be on their toes. It's perhaps harder to do that if you're an AM or a Lamborghini Cup driver than a pro. However, this is the regulation, and the regulations for the European Series roll out across the world final weekend as well. So for pole position, it's going to be the Target racing car started by Frederic Schandorf, and with him at the front of the grid, Andrea Amici, who has had a title in Europe. He's had a title in Asia and missed out this year on an American championship success. He'd been racing in the American Series, but he'd like the world final. He's got the British driver, the Scotsman, Sandy Mitchell, with him. Sandy, one of the BRDC Rising Stars. And there's another one of those, which is Stuart Middleton, a bit further back on the grid. He shares with Jack Bartholomew. They line up on the outside of row 4, but were race winners in the end of the European Championship yesterday. Second row of the grid will be Connor Daly, son of Grand Prix driver, ex-Grand Prix driver Derek Daly, and Connor sharing with Brandon Godovic, who ended up second in the American Series, and then Yusa Pohaka starting in the car that he shares with Takashi Kasai. They were runners-up in the Asian Championship yesterday to Evan Chen and Chris van der Drift, who sadly aren't doing the world final. Real disappointment, that. On the third row of the grid, you've got Afit Yazid, Pro-Am winner in Asia. That car has yet to get through to the grid, which is a rather crowded place at the moment. And on the outside of that row will be the European Pro champions, Danny Cruz starting, and Sergei Afanasiev, who will share the car. Right, let us go to the grid. The pole position car will be started by Frederic Schandorf, and Marietta Evans is there.
Thank you very much, David. Yes, I'm about to speak to a driver who has been here on the pole position this weekend before. Frederic, you seem to have adapted so well to this track.
Thanks, yeah. It's a very cool track. The circuit is amazing, and all the facilities is so cool, and all of this crowd, and the weather is perfect, so I think it's going to be a very cool race for everyone, and hopefully this car can be in the front when the checkered flag arrives.
Thank you very much. Good luck for the race.
You're welcome.
As I say, that team had dramas yesterday in race 2 and retired, mechanical problems, but all good this morning. They're 101, Andrea Amici, who will go first in that car. Andrea sharing with the very quick Scottish driver, Sandy Mitchell, and as he takes on some final liquid, we will be good to go very shortly. Andrea Amici, who drives for the leading American squad of Prestige Performance. And we'll hop on board the car in a moment. Then on the second row of the grid, as I said, you've got Connor Daly, still there trickling into position. The back of the grid is going to be another of the Americans, Will Hubble. And before we get underway, let's catch up with Andrea Amici and Sandy Mitchell's car. On the outside of row 1, Marietta is there.
So Andrea, you have won on this track, and you seem to have the pace to win here again today. How do you feel things can go today for you?
Yeah, you have a big chance today. We did well in both qualifying, so we're starting from row for both races. That nobody have the same possibility. So I'll try to stay with Scandalf in the beginning, and if I have the chance also to overtake and to lead the car in the best position possible to my teammate, that I'm sure that they will do a great job.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Now there's the danger of a delayed start here because the grid is very, very out of order. We've got Damon Ocky's car, which has been pushed way, way forward, and should have been on the anti-penultimate row, instead of which he's been put where Richard Antonucci's car should have been. So there's quite a bit of toing and froing going on with the teams and the marshals at the moment, but the grid is gradually forming, and you've seen then the front row drivers, the Frederick Schandorf and Andrea Amici. Andrea's chances of success in the North American Championship were given a blow yesterday because the car on the formation lap round to the grid, Sandy Mitchell at the wheel of it for the second race, had low fuel pressure and it stopped and had to be towed back. The car did start the race from the back of the American grid. It was a shared grid, America and Asian cars together, but it was just very, very hard to then get up the order and take points away from the class opposition. So big, big frustration for both Andrea and Sandy because they'd won the first race of the weekend for the American Championship here earlier that day. Second row, Connor Daly. If you've got a long memory, you'll remember his father in Formula 1. Not racing here. He would have raced at Jarama for the Spanish Grand Prix, but Connor Daly starting the car of Brandon Gudovic, and he's on the inside of row 2. Let's go back to the grid and Marietta.
So Connor, how do you see your chances of a podium finish here today?
I think we feel pretty good. You know, obviously there are cars that we haven't raced before around us. This guy in front of me, talked to him earlier, seems like a cool guy. I know the 101 car, we raced with them in North America, so this car is good, PPM. We're the only one-car team in a North American Championship, so we're a small group, but we have a lot of fun and we're in a good spot here to try and get a win, so we'll see what happens.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Connor.
Connor Daly, good to go. We saw him in European single-seater racing for many, many years. Dad Irish, but has long been based in America. Connor, American himself. And Connor got through the ranks of GP3 and GP2, but has concentrated on racing stateside, and he's very much a gun for hire. Had a spell in IndyCar racing, also drove in the MRF Challenge. We first saw him in Europe, really, in Formula Ford 1600 as part of Jeremy Shaw's Team USA scholarship. He came to the Formula Ford Festival and the Walter Hayes Trophy, and it's not the first person that we have come across in Super Trofeo World Final that's come from that area. There is Afik Yazid's car. It will be the Malaysian to go first. He has been a pro champion, a pro-am champion in the past within the Asian Championship, but success eluding him in the World Finals despite some good co-drivers over the years. He's a pro-am with the car run by the Hojust racing team, and he shares with Toshiyuki Ochiai, pro-am champions this year. There are the European pro champs, Danny Krus in his first year of Lamborghini racing, and the Russian driver Sergei Afanasiev crouching down, having a quick word. Danny was a bit shell-shocked, I think it's fair to say, really, yesterday. Couldn't quite believe it had all happened, and nor could Vito Postiglione, who yet again, for the 4th year in a row, lost out at the last knockings of the championship, and it was a punctured tyre picked up by his co-driver Kiko Galbiati that did for him yesterday. Now, looking down onto the grid, it looks as though there is one car missing, which is Angelo Negro, who should have been on the inside of the back row of the grid, but that car appears to be missing. It's interesting that we've had people go through the warm-up and the qualifying sessions and then not get to the grid. We had a couple of cars missing from the earlier Lamborghini Cup and Am race. There is Harold Schlegelmilch chatting to co-driver Shota Abkhazova. They've not done the whole season together in European Pro-Am, so Shota is solo champ. But they've been a good combination of drivers. Harold Schlegelmilch, if you go back, what, a decade plus really now, maybe 15 years, was a Formula 3 racer in the Formula 3 Euro Series that morphed into the FIA Formula 3 Championship eventually. There, Jack Bartholomew, another single-seater convert, sharing with Stuart Middleton, who's been very much a sports car driver, coming from Ginetta Juniors through GT4 into the Super Trofeo this year. And it's going to be Jack Bartholomew that will start the Bonaldi entry. They got a 1-2 in the race yesterday, the European race, and the car of Jack and Stuart won, and the second one of Danny Krus and Sergei Afanasiev also won the championship, so there was much celebrating at the end yesterday. And the drivers then now set to go. On the third row of the grid is where you find the cars of Afanasiev, Krus and Yazid Occhiai, the fourth row behind them, alongside Jack Bartholomew and Harold Schlegelmilch. Then an all-green fifth row. There is Vito Postiglione. He is good to go. He's got the disappointment yet again of missing out on the championship behind him. Teammate Karol Bash, they shared a car last year. They are in the same team but with a car each this year. Kiko Galbiati shares with Vito, and it is for this weekend sharing with Karol Bash, Andrzej Lewandowski. Now, Lewandowski led yesterday and about, what, 3-4 laps from home, had what was thought to be a brake failure, went off at the last corner and therefore didn't finish the race. More disappointment for Imperiali. Behind them, you've got Richard Antonucci. Now, this is going to be a man to watch. Richard Antonucci starting only 11th on the grid, but the pro champ in America with Corey Lewis. Richard Antonucci, massively experienced driver, the nephew of Eddie Cheever, Grand Prix racer of years past, an IndyCar racer of years past. And the Lamborghini Charlotte entry will be quick, but I'm surprised it's so far back on the grid, actually. Alongside is the Conrad entry of Axel Jeffries. There, 222 is good to go. That being Emanuele Pirro, Grand Prix racer, touring car racer, these days historic racer, 5 times Le Mans winner, arch enthusiast for the sport, honorary member of the British Racing Drivers Club. And Emanuele Pirro driving with motocross star Tony Cairoli in that car. It's a 222 number, the 2 prefix meaning it's representing the Asian Championship. Anything with a 1 is an American, and just a double-digit number is for the European Championship. And there's drama for 124. Mechanic being called back to the car. Officials not very impressed by that. It's Patrick Liddy that starts. Mechanic being shepherded off the grid, but everybody good to go now. Marshall at the front will show the board in a moment to the front row. The Lamborghini Urus as the lead car gets ready for the formation lap. There it is. Everybody ready to go, with the exception, as I say, of that one gap on the grid where Angelo Negro seems to be missing from at the very back. So as soon as the race director Daniele Galbiati is happy, the signal can be given and the lead car will set off in advance of the race cars so that they can then go at a proper pace to catch up and get the warmth into the tyres and the brakes, get the tyre pressures up. 15-second board is now shown. Away goes the Urus, and on instruction, the green flag will be waved by the marshal now, and away they go. So the cars set off on this final warming up lap. One a little bit slower way, lower down the grid, Davide Venditti, and the field then without the car of Angelo Negro accelerate up through turn 1, then through the uphill right-hander, short straight to turn 2. Frederick Schandorf starts on pole with Andrea Amici lining up alongside. On the second row of the grid then, Connor Daly lining up alongside Justo Pohaka. So it goes Europe, America, America, Asia within the top 4. Asian driver 5th on the grid, Asian Championship representative Afik Yazid. And then 6th from the European Series, Danny Krus, the European champion, to line up alongside. On the 4th row, Harold Schlegelmilch, the European Championship Pro-Am regular, with the Pro-Am champ Shota Abkhazova, and then pros from the European Series alongside. Jack Bartholomew, he starts with Stuart Middleton. Then you've got more from the European Championship. Vito Postiglione lining up alongside Karol Bash. Green cars both, in fact, on that row. and an all-Polish car, Karol Bash and Andrzej Lewandowski, all Italians, Vito Posiglione and Kiko Galbiati. Then Richard Antonucci, the American pro champion, along with Corey Lewis, and the Zimbabwean driver Axel Jeffrey, sharing with newcomer Vincent Schwartz. For Conrad, they are 12th on the grid, 13th on the grid, quite a long way back again, but winners yesterday in the second American race. Paolo Roberti, who will share the car with Cedric Sbriazzuoli, and then alongside are going to be Josef Zaruba and Jakob Noll. Josef Zaruba, former Radical and Formula Renault racer, has been the quicker of those two in Europe this year. On the next row of the grid, starting in 266, is Yuki Namoto, who shares with Alex Au. They've done bits of the Asian season together, and alongside them, Patrick Liddy and Ron Atapatu. The next car is number 9 of Davide Venditti, sharing with the very rapid Alberto Di Folco, and then it is Niels Lagrange and Anthony Lambert's car alongside. Brendan Leach shares with Massimo Vignali. They lost a wheel in race 2 yesterday, and then it's Emanuele Pirro alongside, ahead of Damon Ockey, who, along with Jacob Eidson, is the American Pro-Am champ, and then Philip Kadori and Dan Wells, Hong Kong and British drivers from the Asian Series. 2 Brits, Stephen Licorice and Jack Butel, start 23rd. Gerard van der Horst is 24th on the grid, but when Loris Spinelli gets behind the wheel, he is going to be one to watch, and the grid is completed by William Hubble, starting the 169 American entry that comes from the Prestige Performance stable, with Angelo Negro missing. Turn 1, Connor Daly goes second on the inside line. Puhaka comes up to have a go at Amici as well. And so Frederick Schandorf may have lagged back a bit coming out of the last corner, but he's ahead when it counts at turn 1. He leads as they go through turn 2 now. He's and I fear is one. That compromises your hopes straight away in the world final, because you get Schlegelmilch was the other. So 3 competitive cars all in strife right from the get-go. Round turn 6 there. Patrick Liddy in the Elephant T car, number 124, the car backed by one of Ron Atapatu's businesses to sell tea to raise money for the conservation of elephants and wildlife in Sri Lanka, where Ron was born. 66 goes through, Josef Aruba, but with Afik Yazid in the gravel, can he get going? Are we going to have a safety car period to pick him up and scoop him out of the way? Let's see as the leaders come through turn 10 now. Down towards the centre chicane for the first time, 50 minutes of racing. And a great getaway then, putting Frederick Schandorf into the lead, but Connor Daly, the American, going after him as they wriggle through the chicane here. Third, Andrea Amici, Danny Cruz in 4th place, and there Daly is under attack from Amici as they come out of turn 13 now. Number 9 goes through, Davide Venditti, and Frederick Schandorf is away and gone in the lead of the race then. So Schandorf is a second and a half clear of Connor Daly there. Third in the black and blue car, number 101, Andrea Amici. That is a team, Prestige, that's always gone well in the World Finals, victorious with Trent Hinman and Riccardo Agostini 2 years back. 4th is Cruz, 5th is Puhaka, Posiglione is 6th, 7th now is Roberti. In 8th place it is Antonucci, 9th is Bash, and 10th is Jeffries. And talking about bashing, there look, contact between Yazid and Bartholomew, and in avoidance off goes Schlegelmilch. Here's a replay on board Pirro's car, and he sees it all kicking off ahead of him. He gets away with that, but Schlegelmilch trying to go around the outside was the unlucky one, and Jack Bartholomew on the inside line having a spin, getting involved with Yazid, and then Schlegelmilch off in avoidance. And there is Afik Yazid still in the gravel, and the safety car is indeed being deployed. Safety car on track. So a disappointing way to end the day for Afik Yazid. here, of course, because it's largely a motorbike circuit these days, you don't have the run-off tarmac for Formula One that you do at some venues. You have very, very wide gravel tracks. There's not much runoff in terms of any curbing or grass or anything like that. It's the lip of the road straight into the gravel. So you get it wrong, you're in that gravel straight off almost. And Afik Yazid unable to drive out the other side. So huge frustration for him. If that had been a similar incident at another circuit, chances are he'd have hooked a gear and driven away. But not here, the gravel traps await. So we had one non-starter and we've lost one, which is Afik Yazid, and here is Jack Bartholomew. That safety car helps him a little bit because it means he can close up onto the traffic. He got past Van der Horst, he got past Hubble. So he's 22nd. 21st is Schlegelmilch. There is the safety car at turn 1, ready to pick them all up. Frederick Schandorf leads the way, and he comes now over the line, heads up the hill. So one or two rather nervous teams look on in the pit lane to see how this safety car period might affect life. If you've got your quicker driver in first, then the effect he can make is rather negated. There, the snatch vehicle is on hand, and this rather undignified sight of the Lamborghini Huracan Evo being lifted and taken out of harm's way. Now the good news is, of course, that you can see there the little access point onto the perimeter road, so it should not take long to get that out of the way and the road be clear, so we could even go racing this time. Daniele Gagliardi will be talking to the safety car crew. I think I'm right in saying Milos Pavlovic is the safety car driver, Lamborghini factory driver, and if he needs him to slow down a little bit just to try and make this the last lap behind the safety car, the instruction can be given, and fingers crossed we can go racing again. Here's the rather untidy start. Andrea Amici came storming out of turn 13 and then realised that he was way ahead of Frederick Schandorf, who had to catch up, so he slowed and Schandorf accelerated, and boom, Schandorf got the lead, and Amici suddenly found himself being mugged by Conor Daly on the inside line. Frederick Schandorf we've not seen a huge amount of in the Super Trofeo Europe Championship, but he really has been absolute dynamite this weekend. Lots of people very, very impressed indeed with him. Taking over this Target Racing entry. He's come from the Asian Championship and he's driven in the Middle East Series and also in the Blancpain GT Series in Asia this year. But Frederick Schandorf, very impressive indeed. Like Dennis Lind, who was a champion a few years back, came from the Danish Thundersport and Formula Ford scenes before coming into Europe and Asian racing. So safety car goes through, does another lap in fact. Hopefully this will be the last one and then we can get things back underway. Safety car is indeed in at the end of this lap. So with the track temperature at 37.9 degrees, 5:05 local time, 43 minutes of the race to go. Conor Daly there turns through turn 2 with a very Terry Andrea Amici right up behind him, looking to try to make a move against him when we get back to race conditions. So Frederick Schandorf leads, Jonathan Cecotto will take the car over, and he is with Marietta.
Jonathan, I'm sure you're delighted to see your teammate leading the race. You guys have been really, really strong here in Jerez.
Yes, just like yesterday, race 1, we were leading it and we were able to win the race. Unfortunately, yesterday in the race 2 we had a technical problem, so let's see what's going to happen tomorrow, but till tomorrow we have the race of today to win.
And what about when you jump in the car for the second stint? How is your speed? How is your pace?
I know that I'm very competitive, so we will just see in what position we are and maintain the lead, hopefully.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you.
So Jonathan Cecotto, who going back 2 seasons was teammate with Vito Posiglione. He's got better, he's got faster since then, and did look impressive yesterday. But he and Frederick Schandorf certainly threw down a marker in race 1 yesterday, leading race 2 before the contact. Ashton Harrison there, just about to be hidden by the graphic, was out racing in the Lamborghini Cup race earlier on, briefly, but got a puncture on the first lap, having been tagged into a spin by Jose Collado, so her race did not last long. But another of the American Championship runners. She was in the Lamborghini Cup race earlier. So the field turns through. There is Vito Posiglione, the perennial bridesmaid in Super Trofeo, it seems, in Europe. It doesn't matter what the season, what the co-driver, it doesn't quite gel for him, and he comes close, but never quite gets the cigar. Down to the centre chicane, and the officials then ready for the restart. 42 minutes and counting. Pit window is between 20 and 30, so we've got a little time yet before we need to worry about the pit stops, but this a very, very competitive grid. Emanuele Pirro, 16th currently. So Scharnhoff, Daly, Amici, Cruz, Pohaka, Postiglione, Roberti, Antinucci, Bash, Jeffries is the order as green flag is about to fly, and we can go racing once more. Over the timing line they come, and Frederick Scharnhoff storms through then as the race leader. Conor Daly second, Andrea Amici third. Can the European champion Danny Cruz get into the top three and keep the runner-up in Asia? Yusa Pohaka at bay. Pohaka is ahead of Postiglione. Paolo Roberti, massively experienced driver. Paolo Roberti runs 7th, and a battle is on there, look, as Harold Schlegelmilch comes up to have a go at his teammate, Stephen Licorice, the British driver. Up the inside goes Schlegelmilch. Jack Bartholomew tries to follow him through and does so. So another place gained by both of them. 20th now for Schlegelmilch, 21st for Bartholomew, but there's a lot more work still to be done by not only them, but their co-drivers. Through goes number 9, Davide Venditti running in 11th spot. Another place gained behind him. I think that might have been Brendan Leach going ahead of Josef Zaruba through on the inside line. But the leader, Frederick Scharnhoff, tries to build that gap once more. The white car look is that of Richard Antinucci, 8th at the start of the lap as they dive down to turn 6 at the end of the straight into the hairpin. Up the inside goes Niels Lagrange to get up past Yuki Nomoto. That's Asian Championship runner ahead of European Series runner, and Pro-Am versus Pro as well. So through they come. This is then the 5th lap of the race, and there is Niels Lagrange hustling on, the Belgian driver, on the back of Yuki Nomoto, looking for a way by and trying to keep Emanuele Pirro behind him. Andrea Amici in 3rd is the man that's done the quicker of the few racing laps thus far, but that could change, of course, as the fuel load comes down. Down to the chicane, a chance on the inside for Patrick Liddy. Looks for a way ahead of Philippe Cadori. Liddy has gone really well this year in Pro-Am, and this weekend has looked very impressive, particularly in race 2 when he did the first stint. There on the outside line, number 6 is Carol Bash coming up to have a go at Antinucci. Under attack from Axel Jeffries. The incident at turn 3 that we saw early on is being looked at. That triggered the safety car. Over the line goes Richard Antinucci, and he keeps Carol Bash and Axel Jeffries at bay. Diving up to turn 1 now. Through they go. Frederick Scharnhoff building that lead gap. He's done the fastest lap of the race as he pulls clear to the tune of just over 7/10 of a second. Richard Antinucci goes out of turn 2, keeping the Polish driver Karol Bash behind him. Very international field this. You've got Denmark leading America, leading Italy, then Holland, then Finland, Italy, America, Poland and Zimbabwe within the top 10. Dust kicked up in the background by Brendan Leach, the New Zealander, another nationality, and he's keeping the Czech Josef Zaruba at bay, who's keeping the Japanese driver Yuki Nomoto, and then the Belgian Niels Lagrange and the Italian Emanuele Pirro behind him. And then for Hong Kong, it's Philippe Cadori, in America, Patrick Liddy, and on it goes. That's the leading 18 covered, as there Davide Venditti, who is 11th. The Italian driver goes out now of turn 6 through the hairpin, the Curva Dry Sack, the Sherry-sponsored corner, and up through turn 3 now. Now, Conor Daly runs second. Brandon Godovic will take that car over. Let's hear from him with Marietta.
So Brandon, Canada is doing really well out there right now, but what about when you go in the car, the second part of the race, what do you think will be the most challenging thing then?
I think the pit stop's going to be a little chaotic. It's going to be a lot of cars pretty tight on pit road, so really just executing the pit stop, making sure there's no issues, because I'm pretty sure there's going to be a few people making mistakes, so we just need to make sure we stay on our own track, no issues on pit road, and I think we'll be in for a good finish.
Thank you very much.
It's worth bearing in mind as well that, of course, if you... more drama. Harold Schlegelmilch is off the road, and there's another car with him, which looks like it's one of the American, possibly a prestige car. Let's just try and work out in a moment who is missing. Schlegelmilch is off. Could it be Philippe Cadori? He was the next one up with him. I know that's an Asian Championship car, but yeah, that's not come through. And as the door opens, it is Philippe Cadori, 277. Harold Schlegelmilch, I think, wants a word. Out gets Philippe Cadori. That's at turn 10. Philippe trudges away, and Harold Schlegelmilch follows, but is very unimpressed about whatever has just happened. So, yes, blue and black livery, but it's an Asian Championship car. Apologies, Philippe Kaddouri tangling then with Harold Schlegelmilch, who was trying to come through. That's got to be a safety car period, I would have thought, with those two where they are at that corner so close to the edge of the road, and two of them ready to be in a danger. So we await yet again yellow flags as the race leaders currently are on lap number 7. So the officials already having a look at the incident at turn 3. I'll now have a look at that one. We'll see if we've got a replay of who did what to which and to whom. But a quick look down the pit straight, looking at the marshal's post to see whether the yellows are ready and the safety car boards are there. Not yet, in fairness, so the drivers keep pressing on, keep pushing. The teams will be trying to alert their drivers of a possible neutralisation. The snatch vehicle is on its way, actually, coming out. So whether it's possible to get that cover just under a localised yellow flag, that's the hope, clearly. There is Patrick Liddy wriggling his way out of the chicane. In fairness, we've had a number of incidents this weekend that have just been covered by yellow flags, and if the drivers behave, you don't really need to neutralise the race. As long as they're going slowly and respecting the flags, then that's fine. There is 222 Emanuele Pirro, who is now in 16th place, and 18th Jack Bartholomew, looking to make progress against Patrick Liddy for 17th as they come up towards the line behind. There is Tony Cairoli looking at his car going through in 16th place. He's been partnered with certainly a great driver, Emanuele Pirro. Not only is he a great enthusiast, he's a charming bloke, and also a very good driver coach too, of course. There is Pirro. It's good to have him in modern cars, isn't it? We've not seen very much of him in modern racing for a few seasons. He's been very successful in historic, particularly at Goodwood. There is the yellow fatigue car, Patrick Liddy at the wheel of it, keeping for the moment Jack Bartholomew at bay. And more incidents are being looked at by race control, including Jack Bartholomew and I think Yazid. That was the one from earlier on, of course, that was at turn 3. We await to see whether the contact between Schlegelmilch and Kaddouri is going to be looked at as well, but they are also out of the race, and seemingly, despite my fears, it's going to be okay to get the race covered with the yellow flags up at turn 10. The marshals working hard. Again, it's so close to a vehicle access point that the race director, working with the local clerks, can say, yeah, all right, well, once we've put the car out of the way and the yellow flags slow people down, then we're okay to get the cars moved swiftly. So as long as people respect the flags, then the race director is content to let the race run. There is 101. That's Andrea Amici then in third, going after Connor Daly. Now the lead gap has come down a bit on this lap. It was up to 1.3 seconds. It's down to 11 tenths. So Connor Daly fighting back, having a go at the leading car of Frederick Schandorf. Over the timing line they go. And at the end of the lap, 11 tenths it is between Schandorf there and there. Connor Daly in the black and red livery. Third is Amici and fourth is Danny Cruz, staying with him as they come now up towards turn 2. Fifth is Yusuf Bohaka. Postiglione sixth and not making progress ahead of Paolo Roberti. Richard Antonucci is 8th, Carol Bash 9th, Jeffries is 10th, Verditi is 11th, Brendan Leach 12th. He's the leading, second in the Pro-Am competition at the moment, Brendan Leach. Third Pro-Am is Yuki Namoto, the class being led by Karol Bash with Andrzej Lewandowski as the co-driver. Brendan Leach shares with Massimo Vignali. Race leaders come down towards turn 6. The steward's pretty busy at the minute for them to be looking at, as into the right-hander of turn 6 they come. And there, look, Amici having a rather tentative go to try and unsettle Connor Daly, but you get the feeling now that many of these places are going to have to be won back on the pit stops. You need to be pretty bold getting out of the traffic and seeing whether that goes in your favour on the pit window opening. So through come the race leaders, the gap widening on this lap, so it's going up all the time. 11 tenths, then 1.2 seconds as Schandorf just starts to extend the margin. Schlegelmilch's car is the next one to be moved from the turn 10 gravel. Out of the chicane, Frederick Schandorf ahead then on this, the 9th lap of the race. And as the cars accelerate through to turn 13, where is the next change going to come from? Hard on the brakes again, Andrea Amici really throwing everything and trying to get past Connor Daly, because he might feel that were he to go through, he could go after the race leader. But right now that gap is widening again. Over the line goes Schandorf. Over the line second is Daly, third is Amici, fourth is Cruz, fifth Pohaka in the black and orange livery, sixth in the all-green car is Postiglione. Then it is Paolo Roberti in the Dream Racing Motorsport car that he shares with Cedric Sprazzioli. Antonucci 8th, and again Richard Antonucci, the American pro champ, not making the progress that you might anticipate here, so not looking all that strong relatively as far as world no racer here. Up towards the left-hander of turn 8, the slower Curva Aspar. And that in turn takes you up to the Curva Angel Nieto, the corner and indeed the circuit named after the late great motorcycle racer who lost his life a couple of years ago. Schlegelmilch's car nearly out of the way, so in a few laps' time that turn 10 is going to be clear on this 2.7 mile long circuit, or if you prefer 4.4 kilometres long. There, up the curb goes Nemoto, and he's hard at work here. You're riding with him. Up to the Curva Ferrari, loops round behind the paddock, hard on the brakes. The next hairpin is turn 13 with pit in on the inside of that corner. So there, up to the timing line comes Nemoto. Accelerates up past the pits, and this, the view as the road goes underneath the hospitality building, the so-called UFO, and then climbs into turn 1. Brake, turn right. Pit exit on the left-hand side, short straight, up towards turn 2. That in turn loops you round, and you just drop down slightly into the left-hand turn 3. Speed building, left again at turn 4, and swoop up to the Curva Cito Pons, which is the next right-hander. And as you're looking at what's going on lower down the order, let's catch up with Tony Cairoli, waiting his turn to take over from Emanuele Pirro. Marietta.
Tony, something I'm very curious about is what is the dynamic between Emanuele Pirro and you in the same box? Because obviously you both are very experienced, but you come from completely different disciplines.
Yeah, of course. To have him as a mate here is unbelievable. It's nice, and it gives me a lot of. He teaches me a lot of stuff, and for me everything is new. But we try to handle some pressure because everything is new, so we don't really know what to expect.
And how are things looking for when you go in the car for the second part of the race?
Yeah, I try to do my best. He's still fighting, for the podium in the Pro-Am class. I hope I can maybe be there also and don't make mistakes and try to stay close to the podium. This is what I can do.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Yeah, Tony Cairoli, somebody relatively new to car racing, but going well this weekend, and as he says, a good driver coach, good teammate in Emanuele Pirro, who you can see crawling all over the back of Niels Lagrange at the moment. Emanuele is in 16th place. Through he comes. And into the pit lane, because the pit window is now open, comes Lagrange. This was an incident between the two of them out on track, with Pirro shoving his nose up the inside of Niels Lagrange, but electing not to do a push to pass, slotting back in behind him at turn 7. Right, so the pit window is open. Getting out of traffic could be a good thing. Paolo Roberti is in, Venditti is in, Lagrange is in, the now penalised Bartholomew is in. So whatever work Stuart Middleton has got to do, he's got another 5 seconds slapped on at the end of it to try and overcome. There is the Bonaldi car. What a difference a day can make. Winners of race 2, and now after that contact, way back in the first World Final race. So out gets Jack, in gets Stuart Middleton, who came from the Ginetta Junior ranks into GT4 with the HHC Motorsport team, won the British GT4 class in the British GT Championship, drove to race wins in the European GT4 series last year. Another one for the pit lane is going to be Gerard van der Horst. Now put Loris Spinelli in this car, as they are about to, and light the blue touch paper and stand back. Spinelli got a pole position and 2 fastest laps out of his work yesterday. Gerard van der Horst has been 4 times Lamborghini Cup champion, but stepping up into Pro-Am for the purposes of this weekend. The incident between Schlegelmilch and Cadore is going to be looked at post-race. So there, Gerard van der Horst out, in gets Loris Spinelli. Now, if they've got a safety car now to bring that car closer to the pack, they would be assured of a whole heap of places with Spinelli's pace, but we'll have to wait and see whether that does go in their favour. Right now, of course, they're a long way back after the slower pace of Gerard van der Horst to begin with. The race leader has just gone through and put a lap on them as well. There is Frederick Schandorf getting away. The gap is up to 1.7 seconds now over Conor Daly, and it's Andrea Amici in 3rd place. 4th is Danny Cruz. 5th is Giuseppe Hacca. 6th hidden behind the graphic. There he is, the green car of Vito Posiglione, but all of a sudden Schandorf has decided, it seems, that he's not hanging about here. Bored with playing. I'm going now, thank you. I want to get on with this and try and build up as big a gap as he can for Jonathan Cecotto going into the second stint of the race. We don't need to worry either, really, about single drivers here. Everyone's going to be in the leading gaggle on the same pit stop time. There is 1:69. That's Will Hubble to give way to Eric Curran. Smartphone uses the stopwatch. In comes Stephen Licorice to give way to Jack Butel. That's another of the Artline Team Georgia cars. Jack Butel who came from British single-seater racing into sports cars with the Speedworks Motorsport team in LMP3 Cup racing in the UK. Busy battle pack here, Richard Antonucci, Carol Bash, and then the Conrad team car of the Zimbabwean driver Axel Jeffreys, and they're not that far ahead, look, of Brendan Leach, who's storming along behind them as well. So through goes Richard Antonucci. Carol Bash, though, is under real attack, isn't he, now, from Axel Jeffreys. There is the Conrad car, the familiar turquoise livery carried by Franz Conrad's cars for many, many seasons, for years in Porsche racing, but now into Lamborghini, as he has been for the last, what, 3-4 seasons. Into the chicane they come. Who is going to be the next one out of that leading battle to come into the pit lane? Well, we've got some of those back on track just going through. Wait for into the pit lane. I think possibly Vito Postiglione's line suggested the Imperiale racing car would come in. Andrea Amici is in to get out of the traffic and give way to Sandy Mitchell. And yes, Postiglione has broken the beam as well, so he comes into the pit road. Everybody else howls past the pits. These 5.7 litre Huracans accelerate up towards turn 1. There you've got number 6, Carol Bash, doing the hard yards in the first stint, as it's Arrivederci Andrea Amici, and in gets the Flying Scotsman, Sandy Mitchell. Sandy, who is very much a Lamborghini driver these days, because he's also enjoying great success, 2 years on the trot in the Blancpain GT Series Endurance Cup, where he's been driving a GT3 spec car for Mark Lemmer's Barwell Motorsport team. So splitting his time between Super Trofeo in North America, learning new circuits, and keeping a foothold in Europe in GT racing there. So Sandy Mitchell, another BRDC rising star, ready to go. As you see now, closing that gap. In fact, 109, he's in a big, big hurry. That is the car of Jacob Eidson. So he is the one at the back of this group, but after a pit stop has lost a lap. So look at the yellow car at the back. Jacob Eidson shares with Damon Ockey. They are the American Pro-Am champions. They're out of sequence because they've already done the pit stop, taken the pit stop, and therefore have lost the lap, but will claw that back, of course, when everybody else serves their regulation pit stops. So through there, over the curb, rides number 6. That's the car in the hands of Carol Bash, who came into Super Trofeo last year at Imperiale, partnering Vito Postiglione. This year, he's not done the whole championship. He's also had different co-drivers, but Carol Bash certainly is another quick young driver, and he and Andrzej Lewandowski came close to an overall win, never mind a class win, in the second race yesterday. So through they go, and shuffling the order all the time. In has come Connor Daly now to give way to Brandon Godovic. Remember what he was saying about the need to get the pit stops right. And this is, in slow-mo, Carol Bash. 11th pole backed car, Andrzej Lewandowski's business, and Carol Bash there going through the chicane. There you've got 98, now Loris Spinelli at the wheel of it. Spinelli 21st, but things will change on pit stops and things will change on his pace, that's for sure. So the race with currently 23 minutes still to run, and the clock ticks on down, so we're almost at the end of the window. There is the 101 Prestige Performance car, Sandy Mitchell taking it over from Andrea Amici. Meantime, serving the minute and 27 in the pit lane are Connor Daly and Brandon Godovic. That car is now released, and 222, which is still Emanuele Pirro, still hustles on. Pirro charges along, and because he is the more experienced and the quicker of the two drivers, then he gets the lion's share of the work. So the leading European car currently, as it has dominated the race, Frederick Schandorf. The leading Asian Championship driver, Yusuf Pohaka, and the leading American is, at the moment, and it's rather distorted because of the pit stops, Richard Antonucci, but he will lose that, I think, when the next lap is completed, because that car will fall back when it serves the mandatory stop. Whoa, big slide. That was Patrick Liddy getting it all wrong coming into the chicane. A skiddy Liddy that was, and he managed to save the slide, but Patrick Liddy survives the moment, as into the pit lane has now come Frederick Schandorf. Also in has come Danny Cruz, also coming in Richard Antonucci. So Pohaka takes over the lead from Carol Bash. That's Pirro coming in, and Patrick Liddy, having had his heart rate rocket, now comes in, probably for a calming cup of elephant tea. And he is ready to hand over to Ron Atapatu. 124 stops. But that is the pit stop for Emanuele Pirro to Tony Cairoli. Emanuele Pirro doesn't just walk away, as befits a good long-distance driver. He knows exactly what to do. You turn around, you make sure your co-driver is comfy, you help strap him in, you offer any advice about whether circuit might have a slippery section, for example, and indeed what the car feels like, a word of caution about tyres or brakes maybe, pass on the information and then walk away. Now, under investigation for pit lane speeding as well as the pit stop time is 169 of Eric Curran and Will Hubble. So the officials are looking at that as well as giving the 5-second penalty to Jack Bartholomew. And out on track, this currently is the race leading car, but Juuso Pohakka, who, as I've been saying over the course of the weekend, it would be good to have racing in Europe because he's a very, very quick driver and he needs to come back onto people's radar. He pits to give way to Takashi Kasai. And he comes. So the FFF racing team car, FFF, which has rather dominated GT3 racing this year, out gets Pohakka. Job well done. Takashi Kasai will now clamber on board. The FFF racing team, which is now operated by Andrea Caldarelli as effectively player manager. He races the cars in GT3 and oversees the team. There's a happy Emanuele Pirro. Has a word with the team, but for Automobili Lamborghini, a job well done, and he's enjoyed his stint. Emanuele, who's part of the Lamborghini family these days, and as the pit window is closed, therefore everybody needs to have served their stop, and he actually got that wrong, what the team did in the first race yesterday, because the radio wasn't working, and so by the time the message had got through to Emanuele, the window had closed, and they got a penalty. On board with Tony Cairoli then. Says Pirro on the graphic because he's not yet flipped the transponders selected. You didn't need to worry about those on two wheels in Supercross. 266 awaits the signal to blast back into the race. So the clock ticks on down, and the car of Yuki Nomoto, now Alex Au, is ready to go. And down the pit lane it blasts. Regulation pit lane speed limit until you get to the white line just underneath the UFO there. Now you can accelerate, clear up the hill. It won't be a great surprise this, but the fastest lap of the race done by Loris Spinelli. He's still mired in 20th place, but he is lapping quicker than anybody else has done race long. There is Alex Au, GT racer, one make sports car racer, taking over from Yuki Nomoto as he drops down into turn 3 here. So the race has got 18 minutes and a half still on the clock. The leaders come up towards turn 6. And a challenge is being made possibly now against the leading car, Jonathan Cecotto versus Sandy Mitchell, then Sergej Afanasiev. So the one that's dropped back, look, is Brandon Godovic. On the pit stops, he's dropped back into 4th place. So here, new order, and 4 of them much closer to one another. In 5th place now, charging along as well, is 127, Cedric Sprazzioli. 6th is Takashi Kasai. 7th is Kiko Galbiati in the background in the green car, so he's dropped back. 8th is Alberto Di Folco. 9th is Corey Lewis. And 10th, Andrzej Lewandowski. There's Brandon Godovic, runner-up then in the American Championship in Pro, and he comes down through the chicane, wriggles his way onto Curva Ferrari, and then towards turn 13. But right now, it's 3.4 seconds covering the leading 5 drivers. There you've got the car in the hands of Sergej Afanasiev, the Bonaldi entry. So it's Target from Prestige from Bonaldi. In 4th place, as they come across the line, is the Precision Performance Motorsports car of Godovic. 5th is the Dream Racing car of Sprazzioli, and then 6th, the FFF car of Kasai. A drive-through penalty is being given to Eric Curran for not respecting the pit lane speed limit, so 169 gets a drive-through for speeding. The car's a long way back anyway as a Pro-Am entry, but I'm afraid that's going to further hinder the chances. A challenge on the inside there of Galbiati's car from Alberto Di Folco. Di Folco is on a mission, isn't he, here? He's moving his way forward. Let's see whether that's going to pay off for him as the cars now accelerate once again up towards the right-hander of turn 6. He's close enough. He has a look, but that was a little bit late to really commit to the inside line there. Battle raging on between the two of them. Now, Jack Bartholomew might have a bit of explaining to do after that first stint. Marietta, he's all yours.
So Jack, early drama for you guys at the start of the race. What happened?
Yeah, we got quite a good start on the outside round turn 1 and 2, and then I was onto the inside for turn 3, right on the inside of the track with no more room to move, and I was squeezed and contact was made. I was spun to the inside, another car spun out, and I've been given a penalty, I think unfairly, if I may say so, as there was no more track for me to move onto. I was right on the inside, which made us spin and lost us all the places, right back to the last. And we're just slowly trying to make our way back through, try and have a fairly steady rest of the race and see if we can just pick off as many places as possible.
Thank you very much.
So Jack Bartholomew frustrated, but you never know what could pan out yet. And Stuart Middleton is working his way forward. Equally, if others have dramas tomorrow, then they might be back in the game. But it is this big frustration. You need to score and score well. Out of turn 1 there goes the car of Galbiati. Under attack from Corey Lewis. 8th and 9th those two are now. And the race with only 15 more minutes to go. But Jonathan Cecotto is not getting away from Sandy Mitchell in the way that he might have hoped. And Sandy there has a look on the inside line. So the young Scottish driver drifts his way out of turn 5 down towards 6. He's got a good run there. He's actually shaken off Afanasiev. So as they head into the braking zone for turn 6, let's see whether this is going to be a move. Not there, it's not, no. Turn into the corner, a little bit wider, goes Cecotto. The car's moving around on the road quite a lot. It's a hard circuit on rear tyres, so we're being told, and also quite a few people have been struggling with brakes over the course of the weekend too. Number 207, Massimo Vignali and Brendan Leach's car, that has got a 1.242 second penalty for not respecting the pit stop time. The leaders come up towards turn 9 now. There is Afanasiev still in 3rd place, Gudovic 4th. Sprazioli 5th, Takashi Kasai 6th, then it's Defolco, Galbiati, Lewis, Schwartz up into the top 10 now at the expense of Lewandowski. Lewandowski leads Pro-Am from Alex Au and then the now penalised Vignali. They could not be much closer though for the race lead, could they? Sandy Mitchell crawling all over the back now of Jonathan Cecotto for the race lead. Here they come up towards turn 13 once again. Brake, turn into that sharp left-hander. And now accelerate onto the pit straight once again. Now, Cecotto is no mug. What is he going to be able to do to maintain pace, maintain track position, and keep at bay the charging Sandy Mitchell? Through turn 1 they go. Cecotto, son of ex-motorbike champion and Grand Prix racer and touring car champion Johnny Cecotto, came from single-seater racing into Italian GT4, then into Super Trofeo, heads through turn 3. But it's 0.4 of a second only between the top two. Sandy Mitchell just drops back a little bit, but he's applying the pressure once again now on the run up towards the right-hander of the Cito Pons curve, turn 5. He's got a slightly tighter line there. Again, he's up the curb. It's a good exit. Now, can he get the run all the way down the straight? Can he get a toe? Going defensive. Look at Cecotto. Moves to the inside line. Now to the outside line goes the car of Sandy Mitchell. Wide in, tight out might be the answer, but even that will put him on the outside line for 7. Can't do it. Big sideways moment in the background from Afanasiev. So working now, lap 20. They come through together. In 4th place is Gudovic, not really staying on the back of Afanasiev, who's not staying, despite the fact these two are holding each other up by squabbling, you'd expect. He's not staying on the back of Mitchell's car for the moment. Danger is as well, of course, you get stuck right up behind somebody and you get in the hot temperatures, you need to just lag back and get some cool air in the car and also let the tyres recover. Down to the chicane, Mitchell on the back here of Cecotto. Loris Spinelli still lapping quicker than anybody, up into 18th place now. I'm not suggesting he's going to win the race, but his progress is extraordinary. The leader's doing laps in the 45s, Spinelli in the 42s as he gets through the traffic and has clear track more so than these drivers do. So Sandy Mitchell then in the American Championship entry number 101 on the back of the European car. Jonathan Cecotto at the wheel of it. They come up now over the timing line, something flapping at the front. The front valance, front spoiler, flapping on the ground on Cecotto's car as he goes into turn 1. Contrast that from the 101 entry of Mitchell. And what's happened to Afanasiev? Because he's gone a-missing on that lap. He was in shot halfway around it, but now Gudovic is up into 3rd. Sprazioli is 4th. 5th is Kasai. 6th is Defolco. And Afanasiev has not yet got as far as the timing line. So car number 3, there it is, off the road. And that looks like an incident more than a mechanical turn and pull off the road, doesn't it? So Afanasiev crashed, it says. Now, did he make a mistake or did something fail to put him off the road? We'll try and get a replay of it, but Sergei Afanasiev is off the road and out of the race, and potentially, therefore, out of the world final in real terms, because they're going to struggle to make points back from there. So off through the gravel. Was it brakes? Was it tyres? Others have suffered with brakes and tyres. If we have a replay, we might learn more, but he's clearly off the road and going no further. So Sergei Afanasiev out of the race. And there, in the meantime, 31, Jonathan Cecotto comes through. It's at turn 13, I think, at the very end of the lap where he's gone off. So coming down to the chicane, what we're looking to see is a yellow flag fluttering somewhere. But out of the race, the European Pro Champion, so another Scout claim. There it is, looking in the background, it's at the last corner. So off the road went number 3. That's where Andrei Lewandowski went off yesterday. And it does make you think that something may have gone bang under braking. Over the timing line comes the fight between Cecotto, still with that flapping front bodywork on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, I should say, and right behind him is Sandy Mitchell, who tries to go the long way round on the outside at turn 1. 10 minutes to go. Can he squirt it up the inside line into turn 2? Yes, yes, no. Thinks about it, lines it up, but ran out of track position, ran out of time, and so he has to slot back in behind him. That looked like it was on, didn't it? But Sandy Mitchell, rather than force the issue and get involved in contact, backs out of it and tries again. They sweep now up towards turn 4. Down to the hairpin now. Mitchell's tried here in the past as well. You've got to give Cecotto a lot of credit for his defensive driving. And again, with that Valence flapping on the ground at the front, the car not 100%. Is it doing much to affect the aero? Well, he'll tell us post-race. Right now, he's having to look more in his rear-view mirror, which is really the little video screen, than anything else to keep at bay Sandy Mitchell. You have the camera, and that's the little screen that the drivers get in the cockpit to see what's going on behind, because there's no rear screen to peer through. Nose to tail for the race leaders while they squabble. Let's catch up with more news from the pits. Marietta.
Sorry to see you out of the race. What happened?
Yeah, so we've ended up with having a gearbox fault where the temperature of the gearbox has gone through the roof. So we ended up with just retiring the car. The mechanics are going to have a look, and I think it was a safe bet. Every time I was going through the final sector, it was just coming up, so yeah.
Thank you very much. Sorry about that.
So I know what he did.
So disappointment for Jack Butel, took over from Stephen Licorice, but has retired the Artline Team Georgia car, the sister car of Patron Chodran Kazler in the gravel early on, remember. Leaders go through. Absolutely together they are, 0.397 of a second. And can Mitchell make a move? Not there, he can't. He tried a lap ago at turn 2, but he's not quite close enough this time. Still, chapeau Jonathan Cecotto for the way he's being able to defend here, but Sandy Mitchell almost in the passenger seat. He's that close. He is so close to him as they wriggle through turn 4 now. Through they come out of turn 5. Again, Sandy Mitchell has that tighter line. And this is the run down now towards the hairpin. So nose to tail they run. And Sandy Mitchell is running out of time. We're into the final 8 minutes now. Cecotto holding his ground. It's been an impressive run, though, by Mitchell to get the car into contention. No question about that. Here they are, down towards turn 7. Bearing in mind that Frederick Schandorf had built up a gap in the first stint over Andrea Amici. Sandy Mitchell, with his pace relative to Cecotto's, is right there behind. But what can he do to find a way through? Well, he's tried and failed. He's going to keep on trying. That is for sure. Through they turn now out of turn 10. This is the run down towards the chicane. Absolutely nose to tail for the race lead of the Pro and Pro-Am Race 1 in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo World Final. Mitchell tentatively looks to the inside line. If that car of Afanasiev is out of the gravel, then it's a green flag zone and you can overtake if you're really brave up the inside. Get a good run out of turn 13, and what can you do at turn 1? Past the pits they go, almost as one. Last time the gap was 0.397, this time it's 0.297. into the braking zone for the first corner, and again Mitchell takes a slightly tighter line, but it's not enough to slingshot him up the inside there. Through they turn, almost as one here. Through turn 4. Now Mitchell is running out of options. Not only is he running out of time, he's certainly running out of options. 6.5 minutes on the clock. Again, look, you see the front valance, the front wing flapping on the ground from the right front corner of Cecotto's car. Loris Spinelli, fastest man on track, up into 14th place now. Pro-Am is still Andres Lewandowski leading it from Alex Au, and then Jacob Eidson third, and he's only 4 seconds back from Au, and he's 3 seconds a lap quicker, so he's going to gain at least 1 place, isn't he, before the very end. The way that Jacob Eidson is going, do not rule him out of even getting onto terms with the leader. Not easy, but it's just about possible that he'll hack into the gap. There through is Vincent Schwartz. Behind him you've got the car of Stuart Middleton, so there he is in 10th place, but there's a back marker between them as well. I think the top 10 is about as good as it's going to get for Stuart. Here he is hustling on into turn 7 now. Rattles it up over the curb. The car that he's closing in on, I think I'm right in saying, is Eric Curran's car. And he wants to find a way past that back marker as swiftly as possible as they run out wide at turns 9 and 10. A bit like the old Luffield corner at Silverstone. It's sort of 2 corners, but you can do it in 1 arc. Here into the chicane they come, pretty much as one. But for as long as he's stuck behind the back marker, so Middleton is frustrated in his quest to get onto terms with anybody else. The leaders have just gone by and the gap's up to 0.4 of a second. Brandon Gudovic runs 3rd, Sprazioli is 4th. That gap is 1.7 seconds, but it's widening. De Falco is 5th. There are the leaders. 5 minutes to go now. Sandy Mitchell has thrown everything at this so far. If he's got anything left, keep throwing, because Jonathan Cecotto is doing a ripper job of defending. They run wide out of turn 4. And Cecotto's car still with that flapping front valance. Wider approach into turn 5. Lap after lap, Sandy Mitchell hooks it up on the curb on the inside. That marker ahead is run out of path to. Now, is that going to give a chance? Maybe to Sandy Mitchell. Jonathan Cecotto sees the back marker, darting about behind him, trying to unsettle him there. Look, is Sandy Mitchell as they come out of the hairpin. So the Flying Scotsman comes into that long left-hander. And now, look, the race leader gets stuck behind the back marker. To the inside line he goes. Mitchell tries to go between the 2 of them. Can't quite do it. For a moment, I thought that was going to be a move on the outside line. It didn't pay off for him. Nose to tail, they come through. But now Mitchell sees an opportunity. Outside at 9. Can he get up the inside going into turn 10 here? Let us see. And the answer is no, he can't. Through they come as one. Down now towards the chicane. To the back marker, oh so nearly tripping up Jonathan Cecotto, but he hangs on to the race lead. There is a 25-second penalty being given to Tony Cairoli at the end of the race, which I suspect it's only just been applied, is because you can't do a drive-through before the end of the race. So it's the drive-through changed to a time penalty post-race, 25 seconds. Over the line then comes this lead battle. There's time for 2 more laps out of this as they come through. Up to turn 1. Again, Mitchell, tighter line. Can he get up the inside at 2? No, he cannot. Cecotto's already on these toes to move across to cover off that line. Mitchell darts to the outside here. Looks to get the undercut at 3 into 4, but that will put him on the outside for 5. So it's a tough place to overtake this. The way the circuit sweeps left and right doesn't really give you an opportunity, other than perhaps turn 6 or turn 1, to really make a move. Here he comes again. Is he going to take that tighter line? Yes, you see the way that Cecotto's car drifts out wider. And now down they run towards the end of the straight. Here comes Mitchell again, goes to the outside line. He's level with him this time, but he gets hung out to dry, does he, on the outside? Now he gets the undercut, and Sandy Mitchell gets the drive out of the corner. They rub, and he's through. Is he on the outside line? No, because the tighter line is claimed back by Cecotto, and through he goes once more. Sandy Mitchell on the outside at 7, couldn't do it. That was his best chance yet, but it didn't quite work. You've got to take your hat off to him. He has tried everything in this race, and he's got another lap at least in which to do it. Through turn 9 they come. A flying lap is 1 minute 46, so can they get 2 laps out of this even? The pace they're going, they might just sneak it. Down to the centre chicane once again. Right, left and right. Up the curb goes Mitchell. So the Scottish driver clambering all over the back of Jonathan Cecotto. There'll be a very nervous Frederik Schandorf looking on from the pit bunker to see whether his car can hang on in there to win the race. The gap's widened here as they come up towards turn 13, but then under braking, Sandy Mitchell closes the gap down again. 1:45 on the clock, 44, 43. It's going to be the last lap now then as they come across the timing line, so it's now or never for Sandy Mitchell, and he's dropped back half a second as a result of that contact. Through they go. Again though, he closes up at turn 1, and now he starts to mount that attack once again. Through they turn, almost as one. Where does Mitchell have a go? He's tried at turn 1, he's tried at turn 2, he's tried at turn 5, he's tried at 6, he's tried at 9 and 10, he's running out of options. Again, look, tighter line at turn 5. Now that might just set him up for the run down the back straight. He tried here a lap ago. It's a good run off the corner. Can he get into the wheel tracks? Can he make the move? Not this time, I don't believe. He looks to the inside line, trying to unsettle Cecotto. Can he force a mistake out of the Venezuelan? Not there, he can't. Through they run into 7 now. Half a lap remains, 42 seconds on the clock. Checkered flag is at the ready. Honours in the first race of the weekend for the pros and the Pro-Am drivers, and it could not be closer, could it? Here they come, absolutely nose to tail. It could even be a drag race up to the line if Mitchell gets a good exit from turn 13 and fires the gun in time. So down to the chicane they come. Cecotto knows about pressure, he can feel it, and Sandy Mitchell now possibly is lining up to have one last go through that last corner. Here they come. The top 2 as one sprint their way up towards the last corner. Mitchell goes wide in. Can he tighten the line coming off the corner and get up the inside? That's the plan. There's the move. Yes, he's up the inside line. Does he get the drive off the corner? Not quite. It's going to be a win, but only just for Jonathan Cecotto as they come across the line. Now a virtual dead heat between the two, and 0.137 of a second is the margin. Can you believe it? A fantastic race. 2 young chargers at the top of their game, and 0.137 of a second is the winning margin. Fabulous race. Great defence by Jonathan Cecotto, and a great effort put in by Sandy Mitchell to try to take race honours, but it was not to be. So Cecotto and Schandorf win it from Mitchell and Amici. Brandon Godovic and Connor Daly take 3rd. And in Pro-Am, Karol Bash and Andrzej Lewandowski, the winners from Jacob Eidson and David Ockey, and then Loris Spinelli and Gerard van der Horst take 3rd place after he also did the fastest lap of the race. Whew, what a race, what a battle, and Jonathan Cecotto does certainly deserve credit for the way that he defended, and Sandy Mitchell deserves credit for the way that he pushed on. It'll be interesting to see if Marietta gets a chance to ask Jonathan Cecotto what effect that flapping bodywork had on the car, if any. Did it really affect the aero of the car, make it a handful or not? But you could see the flapping bodywork at the front all the way through that stint. And there the drivers making their way back to the pit lane. Sandy Mitchell then, after a great drive, just missing out, 0.137 of a second adrift. He was almost overlapping when they came across the line, but not quite. So 16 points in the world final to Cecotto and Schandorf because of the point for pole, meaning they are 4 points ahead of Amici and Sandy Mitchell. And then Brandon Godovic and Connor Daly end 3rd as a result of that race. Fast forward though to tomorrow. It's going to be another intriguing race, that is for sure. The grid already decided, and it's pole position for Loris Spinelli. Well, that's a Pro-Am point, but Sandy Mitchell is the fastest pro driver, so he gets a point, will be allocated that point tomorrow for the race. There's a rather frustrated Emanuele Pirro, whose 25-second penalty is forcing the car to tumble down the pecking order. But although it's 4 points now, it'll be 3 points when the race starts between the top 2 in the world final. So if Sandy Mitchell and Andrea Amici can get ahead and stay ahead tomorrow, because they're ahead on the grid, it's going to be fascinating to see how it pans out. And it could be, and we've had it before, that we need to think about the time break regulation. So there is a very happy, very relieved, no doubt, Frederik Schandorf. Goes across to congratulate Jonathan Cecotto. Smiles all around. And the drivers then making their way shortly up to the podium, but before that we'll have a chance to hear from our winners. And there, everybody now gets ready. So Frederick Schandorf and Jonathan Cecotto victorious. Now the team manager of Harold Schlegelmilch's car is being summoned to race control, so we know that was being looked at post-race, and now I fear a penalty may be coming. Right, it is a win for Jonathan Cecotto and Frederick Schandorf, two happy drivers with Marietta.
Jonathan, very, very, very well done and well deserved after a very, 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 very close battle.
Yes, it was really, really, really close for sure. There was no millimeter between my car and the other car, so it was fantastic. It was not easy. This was a victory that made me sweat. Thanks to the team, thanks to our sponsors and to my teammates. Fantastic drive to everybody.
How was your heart going at the end of the race?
I was too high, the pulse was too high, more or less 200 all the way. Because we have a small issue with the front splitter, so it's vibrating a lot and it's changed the downforce. So it was an unbelievable job by Jonathan, it was a perfect job. Thank you so much for the team and all my sponsors, and Jonathan as well is so lucky to be here, and we have a pleasure to do it, and hopefully we do the same tomorrow again, so we take the world title there.
Thank you very much, well done guys, congratulations.
So great job done, and there's the answer to the question as well about the aero was being affected by that flapping diffuser at the front. So even better job, you could argue, by Jonathan Cecotto. Sandy Mitchell, I hope we get a chance to hear from, because he'll be frustrated, yes, but that was some drive. There wasn't really anything left on the table, was there, at the end of that stint? He pushed like an unbelievable pusher to get through, but it was not going to happen for him. A tenth of a second just over all that separated, and there Jonathan Cecotto busy embracing everybody. Right, Sandy Mitchell and Andrea Amici second by the tiniest of margins.
Sandy, it wasn't to be today, but you tried right until the very last second. Well done for that.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, yeah, one of the best battles I've had. Yeah, it was a great battle with the leading car and plenty of side-by-side action, so I hope everyone enjoyed the race. But we looked like we were fast, so I'm really confident for tomorrow we can do a good job. Starting on P2 again for tomorrow and ahead of our rivals on the top three podium today. So I think we stand in good shape for tomorrow, and yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, it was not easy to start from the outside. I tried to do my best to exit from the first corner in the best position possible. Then I tried to put some pressure to Conor Daly. The speed was there, but it was too difficult to overtake cars. Anyway, Sandy also did an excellent job overtaking one car and gaining back the second position. So for tomorrow we feel positive, because we have a big chance. We will start again in fourth row in front of our rivals, and we'll fight like today.
Well done, thank you very much.
Well done, Sandy Mitchell. Complimenti Andrea Amici. Sandy, very well-promoted young Scottish driver and becoming a real gun in GT racing. And don't be surprised to see an awful lot more of him in the future. There is Brandon Godovic's car that was started by Conor Daly, and although they lost a place on the pit stops, they got that back with the demise of Danny Cruz and Sergei Afanasiev. And Conor Daly's got his shades on. Brandon Godovic leans on the car, getting his breath back, and Marietta is there to have a word with our third place drivers.
So besides feeling obviously very tight now, how did you guys feel with the third position?
I think we're happy with it. You know, we would have definitely liked to improve a little bit more on that. The car had really good pace. Connor did a good job on the first stint there. Not really exactly sure how one of the cars got by us on the pit stop. But it is what it is. It ended up third, so it's a good first race to head in tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the start was good. Had to follow the pole sitter through. I mean, to get into second, we were just trying to settle in there. We didn't have the pace to really pass the leader, but I thought we had the pace to stay with them. And then, yeah, we lost a spot in the pit stops, which I still have no idea how that happened. But we're on the podium. It's a good start. You know, we got another race tomorrow to try and obviously be the top of the world, as they say.
Good luck for that. Thank you very much.
So good combination of drivers. Conor Daly, single-seater racer of years past. Brandon Godovic, who came into Lamborghini racing from NASCAR series, really. Came from the world of NASCAR racing a few seasons back, having raced in the ARCA series, the Xfinity series, and even on occasions, European NASCAR. Done a bit of TCR racing in the Middle East and the Dubai 24 Hours, so he's a well-travelled driver, and from small front-wheel drive touring cars to NASCARs, everything in between. Now, a Pro-Am win to the Poles, Karol Bash and Andrzej Lewandowski.
So just a quick word with the winners in the Pro-Am category.
Yeah, it was a really pretty good stint because the start was tricky, many crash, the cars crash. So I am happy that, of my good stint and that Andrzej make a really good stint on his second, split. So I think we make a really good job for tomorrow and we win. So perfect. And
yes, I also very happy because this world final is quite difficult. A lot of very fast drivers, and that's why we keep the first position to the end, and that's why I'm very happy.
Very much.
And especially after yesterday when the car ended up in the gravel bed. So very happy Andrzej Lewandowski there goes to the podium. We go to the results, which confirm a win for Frederik Schandorf and Jonathan Cecotto from Andrea Amici and Sandy Mitchell. Connor Daly and Brandon Godovic third from Paolo Roberti and Cedric Sprazzioli, then Davide Venditti and Alberto Di Falco fifth from Takashi Kasai and Yusa Pohaka down in sixth. Only seventh, Vito Postiglione and Kiko Galbiati. Only eighth, Corey Lewis and Richard Antonucci. Axel Jeffries and Vincent Schwartz were ninth, and then the penalised Stuart Middleton and Jack Bartholomew rounding out the top 10. 11th is where you find the Pro-Am winners, Karol Bash and Andrzej Lewandowski, ahead of the American champs in Pro-Am, Damon Ockey and Jacob Eidson. And Loris Spinelli set the fastest lap of the race on his way to third in Pro-Am, helping Gerard van der Horst. Retirement, Afik Yazid, Toshiyuki Ochai, Philip Kadori, Dan Wells in the gravel, so was Harold Schlegelmilch and Shadrab Kalzova's car. Jack Buttel with his dramas retired to the pit lane. Stephen Licorice out, so too Sergio Fanasiev, Danny Cruz. This is the championship. 4 points now. It'll be 3 when the race gets underway tomorrow because there'll be a point for pole given to Amici and Mitchell for race 2. So right now, championship order is your finishing order, but 15 points for a win and 12 for second make a big difference. And there you see the solitary point for Afik Yazid and Tashuki Ochai because they get that for pole position, but they did not finish, so they get no more than that. So down to the pit lane, lots of people posing with the cars, and the drivers are already being ushered to the podium, where we will be going very shortly as well, ready for the presentations at the end of our first Pro and Pro-Am race of World Final weekend. Another race tomorrow. The action on track tomorrow, just the 2 races, and the first of them is going to be for the AMS and the Lamborghini Cup drivers. That will be at 11:30. So we'll be on air from about 10 past 11 local time, and then the pro race is at 3 o'clock, so from about 2:45 we'll be on air, maybe 20 to 3 for that. So 11:30 and 3 o'clock the race start times, and it's just about 6 o'clock local time here at Jerez de la Frontera now as the drivers get set for the podium. Lots of fans have stayed. There are lots of VIP laps still to come, so it might be that the backdrop to the podium is Lamborghini engine notes. So, I think we're just about ready, and the drivers should be brought forward any moment up to the podium, and it will be, I think, the pros that we have first. So up come the drivers, and Brandon Godovic and Connor Daly take third in the pro class. For second place, Sandy Mitchell and Andrea Amici. And then we have the race winners, and what a race to win as well. Part 1 of the Super Trofeo World Final goes the way of Jonathan Cecotto and co-driver Frederik Schandorf. Very happy Frederik Schandorf then, who's spent his season racing largely in Asia. And Jonathan Cecotto making a very welcome return to Super Trofeo Europe and taking a second race win of the weekend. racing team, the Italian squad operating the car for Frederick Schandorf and Jonathan Cicotto. And so now the presentations will be made by Stefano Domenicali, the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Automobili Lamborghini, who steps forward and makes the trophy presentation to Brandon Godovic and Connor Daly. Now to Andrea Amici, and there's the trophy. Sandy Mitchell. And now to the winners, the gold trophies presented to Frederick Schandorf and to Jonathan Cicotto. And you can see what this means. They have come to win the world final. The Super Trofeo Championship races were a good test session. And yes, they enjoyed the win yesterday morning, but the real aim has been to win the world final. And that sets them up very nicely indeed, with a point for pole to go with the race win. Everybody gets together for the photographs, including Stefano Domenicali, Connor Daly and Brandon Godovic, still with the shades on. And podium done for the pro drivers. Pro-Am to come in a moment, but first of all, there is the champagne. Oh, there should be some champagne for Jonathan Cicotto. It's in there somewhere. So then, attention will turn to the Pro-Am podium. Another good fight we have had. The Pro-Am class, which of course has lots of quick drivers in it, helping their customers. And we'll get to them in just a moment as the winners head for the podium itself. Jonathan Cicotto poses for one last picture and then will make his way off the podium. So the Target racing car just holding on, but that was some battle, wasn't it? So close they ran for the last, what, 10, maybe 15 minutes of the race. That was Sandy Mitchell's real chance. Got up alongside, brief contact. Didn't force the issue though for fear of penalty. Dropped back in behind and never really got a chance to have another go. But he crawled all over the back and oh so close coming out of that last corner. Just 0.137 of a second split them as they came to the timing line. But Frederick Schandorf and Jonathan Cicotto celebrate a race win here in the pro category. As the sound starts to set, we get ready for the Pro-Ams. Ready to step forward then now for third in Pro-Am, Loris Spinelli and Gerald van der Horst. For second in the class will be Jacob Eidson and Damon Ockey. And a class win for two drivers that had big disappointment last night when the car in the European race went off at the last corner. Not at the last lap, but near the end. Karol Bash and Andrzej Lewandowski. They take honours. The all-Polish crew celebrating a race win here at Jerez. Well done, Karol Bash, Andrzej Lewandowski as the Pro-Am winners. And the teams are there with the applause, with the smartphones ready to take the pictures, and the trophies are ready as well. So there, everybody lined up ready, and the trophies to be presented by Massimo Fumarola, the Chief Project Management Officer from Lamborghini's Board of Management, and the bronze trophies go to Gerald van der Horst and to Loris Spinelli. Gerald van der Horst, real estate company owner, race team owner, and 4 times Cup champion. There is Damon Ockey receiving the trophy, and Jacob Eidson, the Australian-American, gets the second placed trophy now. And to the class winners, a very happy Andrzej Lewandowski and Karol Bash receive the gold trophies as World Final Race 1 winners in Pro-Am. So now everyone gets together for the photographs. All smiles. And Andrzej Lewandowski and Karol Bash, the winners. Damon Ockey, the Canadian, Jacob Eidson, the Australian-American, and then the Italian-Dutch combination of Loris Spinelli and Jared van der Horst are all there on the podium. And that means that now they can start the celebrations, because we're done for the day, and some, I think, are going to make their way off the podium. But Andrzej Lewandowski wants his moment, doesn't he? Understandably. And so now the champagne is sprayed, and well done to our victors. So the first race per class done here at the Circuito de Jerez de la Frontera, and in terms of pro, a great race for Jonathan Cecotto and Frederick Schandorf. Let's look back at the best bits of day one here at Jerez. See you tomorrow.